This week, a New Mexico jury found Rust armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed guilty of involuntary manslaughter and not guilty of tampering with evidence for the on-set shooting in 2021 that killed the film cinematographer Helena Hutchins.
Yeah, our 90s legal expert Whitney Traylor joins us now this morning to break a little bit more down about what the case is in store and what's next, as well as Alec Baldwin's trial now approaches. A lot of people wondering how this could impact him.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting because we saw a lot that happened in this trial. So we saw that the special prosecutor was able to get a guilty verdict. So that's one thing. And it rubs both ways. People are not sure. Does this help the defense more or the prosecution when you see the same trial go ahead before you? So they got to see the witnesses. They got to see how everybody testified, what testimony came out. So here, I think what you're going to see is Alec Baldwin, his trial is scheduled for July 9th. So what I think you're going to see is them pointing the finger and saying, you already got a guilty verdict. This is the person who was responsible, the armorer. Even though people are saying, well, you actually pulled the trigger, even though he's disputing that.
Right.
Right. Okay. So this case was actually tried by special prosecutors, which cost taxpayers a lot of money. Are you surprised the trial aspect was outsourced?
I was surprised because this is not unusual, but here this was, this didn't seem outside of their workload, the New Mexico prosecutor. So they got an outside source. It was approved. They've already paid them $600,000. So that's taxpayer money and now if there's an appeal, and of course with Alec Baldwin's trial. So I was surprised. I think they could have handled this trial. The special prosecutors obviously did a good job, but this was something that I think just the New Mexico prosecutor could have done.
In the legal world, Whitney, how do you even begin to go about trying to prove whether or not Alec Baldwin in fact pulled that trigger? Like, how do you even go to try to test that?
Well, there's going to be, that's an issue because during the testing after the fact, the gun actually broke. And so during this trial and certainly during Alec Baldwin, you're going to have expert testimony. So that's where I think they listed up to 40 witnesses that may actually testify. So you're going to have experts that say, there's no way that this gun could have went off without somebody essentially pulling the trigger, pressing the trigger. And Alec Baldwin is saying, no, that wasn't the case. So that's going to be an issue. And that will also bring into question whether he will testify, because here the armorer didn't testify in her defense. And we know that right after this happened, Alec Baldwin, I think as a publicity maneuver, went on and did a number of interviews, and some people are saying those interviews actually hurt him because of some of the comments he made.
And can those interviews then be brought back into court as well?
Well, it's going to be a question. That's a rule of evidence, and so I think there's going to be a fight to bring them in for sure. He's going to argue that it was hearsay, and so it will be a fight. Whether that comes in or not will be up to the judge.
And this was like an 18-month prison sentence, right? I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with Alec, because I'm sure people are like, he better get the same thing. Right.
Well, that's the issue, because he's the one who actually pulled it. But here, folks, I read up on this morning. I read some of the complaints and some of the evidence that came out. It's still not clear why there was actual live ammunition even on the set. So to me, that doesn't make any sense. It didn't add up at all. So that's why I think the armorer, that was her job. Ultimately, that's why she was convicted. But now people are saying Alec Baldwin should never, the scene didn't even call for him to point the gun at anyone. So the fact that he was actually pointing the gun, and a lot of firearm owners would say, yeah, you never point a gun, whether you think it's live or fake ammo, unless it's, all these safety measures are in place.
Clearly still a lot of questions out there.
Yeah.
All right, Whitney, thank you.